Four Stories, Dean, Liam.
Hello.
I'm going to talk about a subject which causing a lot of controversy, is the DC universe right now.
Yes, that's gone sideways at the minute. I wouldn't say it's gone sideways, but you kind of have your mixed discussions with fans amongst, like, James Gunn is ruining this and restore the Snyderverse, as people say. Like,
yes, there's the restore the Snyderverse, but the reason they think they're ruining it is the dropping of Henry Cavill, isn't it?
I think that's probably one of the biggest down. After Black Adam kind of re-announcing that Henry Cavill is coming back as Superman, obviously people got really excited. Like, I actually personally haven't seen a better Superman since Christopher Reeves.
That's a compliment.
It's weird, they're dropping Henry
The
Cavill.
universes are all over the place. Like, we can see from the figures here, this is the Dark Knight. That was one iteration.
That was
then
the
we have
Nolan.
the Robert Pattinson iteration, and then we have the Snyderverse iteration. And how are they going to create a new one? Because I want to be careful in what I say about this, but they've dropped Henry Cavill, which I think was a big mistake. Now, Henry Cavill now is doing a Warhammer, and he's going to be involved in the production of the video games. So Henry Cavill's alright, but Ezra Miller,
They're keeping him.
he's only pleaded guilty to charges on the robbery. He basically went into the neighbour's house and took drink. He seems to have... Now, he claims it's mental illnesses as an issue, but there's actual accusations of grooming and all. And they're saying they might keep him, which I find hard to understand, to drop Henry Cavill because of the supposed attitude.
Yeah.
And then to push forward Ezra Miller based on what
I find
they are accused of.
I find it even harder to understand why one would cancel Batgirl, but go ahead with The Flash, even though the lead star of that movie has done so much controversial shit.
Choking women out and all in Iceland and Germany and all.
Don't get me wrong.
It's great. You're okay.
Now, when the Flash movie comes out,
yeah,
it'll be a great movie. Don't get me wrong, because from what I know of this Flash movie is it's like going to be what's going on with Marvel at the minute, and there's going to be like this
building the
multiverse.
universe. Yes.
So you have, there's supposedly rumours so far Michael Keaton is in it. As
He is. And seeing the early reviews, it's a very good film. The issue of Batgirl was the quality of it when they actually put it to test screening. I'm not saying anything against the people involved in Batgirl, but the test screening, it got shelved. It wasn't doing well on the test screening, where unfortunately Ezra Miller's test screenings have been very good, but he's a
just
mixed up
the man
person.
himself, just the man himself.
The man himself. I think it's one people aren't happy about.
As I said, they've dropped Henry Cavill. Now, from the universe itself, right? They've dropped Henry Cavill. They've dropped Dwayne Johnson.
Because they want to do a young Superman.
And even at that, Robert Pattinson's Batman is meant to be coming into this James Gunn's universe.
Is that a mistake, in your opinion, Liam?
Is that a mistake?
Yeah. Because he's not the Batman that Ben Affleck was in the Snyderverse with the machine guns and the multiverse. He's grounded.
Wow. I would say I would have liked to see more of what Cavill would have done with Superman. I think that's one thing I could have said. But I don't think I could be able to go and say, maybe it could be a mistake. I still don't know about the clear direction the DCU is heading.
And I don't think they do.
I think they don't even know the kind of direction that they're going for as well. With all the stuff they have, with all of the other spin-offs that have been going off, all of the movies that have released so far, it's kind of clear that as individual films, they can be successes. With the likes of Matt Reeves' The Batman and the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie.
Which is nearly its own universe.
Yeah. I don't know if they're trying to combine separate universes into one. Yeah, the whole thing's kind of a bit unclear to me.
It's a mess. And even they have the issue of Aquaman right now. If they replace Aquaman... Now, Aquaman, the original Aquaman, is like a blonde fella and he's white. Right?
Yeah, he's in this
gold suit. Yeah. But for a lot of people now, my missus included, Aquaman looks like Jason Momoa. So what do? Cast someone else that looks like Jason Momoa instead of having Jason Momoa?
That would be a silly thing to do.
Exactly, I think so. Gal Gadot is quite popular as Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman film doesn't look like it.
That's what I'm saying. It's and watch
because
Cyborg.
The actor was Patty Jenkins.
No, Patty Jenkins is the director of the Wonder Woman movies,
and she's basically walked from DC. They weren't happy with the last film, and they were hard to go current film. Also, the Aquaman film has problems in what do they do with Amber Heard? Do they recast her?
I've heard they're looking at recasting her, but with Emilia Clarke.
They have, but they've tested it to different people. You wonder, there's so much controversy going on. Is it a thing that in the long run, if they did a clean slate, we don't want it now, it would be better for the universe? Because I think Robert Pattinson's Batman's universe should be its own thing. They have plans for Gotham City, as you said.
It's like, yeah.
I think that should be left alone. I think Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, I think it should be its own thing, because they're very specific films. Like the last Joker film is fantastic cinema. It's like a Scorsese film from the 70s. It's amazing, like King of Comedy.
It's a classic.
It's a classic, but I don't know how it works in the other.
How it would mix in with everything else. See, that's the thing with that as well, you know. Because if they were going to bring Joaquin Phoenix's Joker into things, let's say they brought James Gunn decided, right, I'm going to bring Robert Pattinson's Batman into this, but I'm also going to bring Joaquin Phoenix in. But you can't do that because Barry Keogh's Joker, as far as we're aware from the ending of the Batman,
is the Joker.
So what are you going to do in that situation? It's going to be a whole mix-up, because from what I've read into some of the things, he does want Robert Pattinson's Batman to be in the universe he's looking at, which is what he's inclined to do by the looks of things. But I don't know, from Ben Affleck's Batman to Robert Pattinson's Batman is more...
They're completely different characters, different worlds, different technologies.
He's more a detective than he is Batman in this.
I think they should let that character grow in its own universe. I think
that'd
be healthier.
See, he's still young, Robert Pattinson. So he has plenty of years for Batman if they wanted him to.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck, I wouldn't say he has that much running around and rolling and diving left in him.
Yeah.
But at the minute, they've dove straight into action with like, as we've seen with the Justice League. They drove straight into action with that. You know, and with Batman versus Superman. So people, he knew, Ben Affleck himself knew what people wanted. Ben Affleck had said, and he quoted, from working on the Flash movie, he knows where it's to go now. Ben Affleck has a fair idea of what way things should roll now, and I don't think it'd be a bad idea to let him and The Rock let things rolling with it instead of...
Yeah, it's kind of like, do you do the soft reboot, and let's say take Jason Momoa, you take this person and recreate it. That's why they're saying the whole Flash film's about the Flash paradox and going back, and that could change time. I personally find it hard to watch that film with Ezra Miller, considering some of the accusations at him. And I would say they're accusations at this point, but children have been taken off by social services and all.
Families destroyed because of this, man.
Yes, and I mean, breaking into random people's houses. And listen, people suffer with mental illness in life, but that's not an excuse for doing bad things you do. So I don't know. It seems to be, James Gunn originally came in and said, we're going to do this universe where the animations are linked to the films, linked to the TV shows, and everything's all going to be like a spider's web, and it's going to work. I don't know if Zaslav has said, like, just can the whole lot and start again, because it's such a mess. Well, leaving the Batman and the Joker universe alone.
Well, they're looking at bringing, I think I'm correct in saying this, the Blue Beetle.
Yes, that's coming out.
I have never heard of the Blue Beetle.
No.
And this is supposedly what James Gunn kind of wants, is to bring in some of these characters that, unless you've actually read the comics, you don't know who they are.
Well, Peacemaker was an individual, was
to be
very
fair,
unique.
They originally did that with the first few Marvel films. They even did that with the very first MCU film, Iron Man. So whether or not if this strategy could work with Blue Beetle, only time will tell.
That's true.
From what I've heard and what I've read, it's more aimed at kids, the Blue Beetle. Do you know that way?
Yeah.
In a way, I don't know if they're letting the dust if they're best letting the dust settle for a year or two, because we've got some people, The Dark Knight Rises and the Nolan trilogy, that was their Batman. For some people, it was the Snyderverse. For some people, older people, it was Michael Keaton. That's where it was. You've already said, as I said, to bring Joaquin Phoenix in would be interesting, but then what do you do with Barry Keoghan? Now, they have said in the comics before that there is multiple Jokers.
I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be intrigued in that.
But it seems to be a total mess right now. So it seems they have to get everything out that they have on slate. It could be a decision that in 5-10 years' time we'll say that they did the right thing. But it is a shit show right now, in my opinion.
I'm hoping James Gunn doesn't ruin everything. I'm not fan of some of the work he done. Like I didn't like The Guardian. I wouldn't. Guardians of the Galaxy was okay. Now I know this is total universe, but James Gunn directed them.
Yes.
I wasn't fond of them movies.
But that stylish version has now become the MCU's whenever they're in space as a guide.
Yeah.
So it's actually become samey.
Yeah, that's true. But I wasn't fond of them movies. I didn't think they were that great. Now, I can't go off and blame James Gunn for my own personal opinion of a movie, you know.
But people have said that they're worried that every DC film now will be like a Guardian of the Galaxy. Will he come in with the general idea and leave the directors to do what the director does?
Now, what I'd seen going around, and I don't know how true this can be, and I do pray. Now, I liked the Snyderverse.
Yeah.
I did. I thought it was great. But my Batmans were Christopher Nolan's films.
Yeah.
They were my Batmans, right? But the Snyderverse was great because it's giving you the action that I needed, you know, because Marvel has pumped up their action, you know, but I've always kind of been a fan of DC because it's dark. Now, that's what I was always fond of.
Yes.
So, in Man of Steel, I love the fact that he kills Zod.
Like that?
I know Superman doesn't kill, but DC is meant to be dark, so do the unexpected, like.
Yeah.
In my sense, but from what I've seen, Netflix, people are trying to get Netflix to buy the Snyderverse and let them just say to him, here's your money, build what you want. And people are talking about Justice League 2 and the Justice League 3. We'll see Darkseid come into this. Now, I'd love to see that.
Well, I think technically Snyder is doing his own Snyderverse. Rebel Moon. So,
you think he's best on his own?
He's best on his own.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because, like, we all know about the troubled production process with Justice League. We all know that he got to finish the cut he wanted. And he's already working on 2 separate universes that he created on his own. Army of the Dead, which kind of originated with his directorial debut, Dawn of the Dead, and Rebel Moon, which originally started off as a very dark Star Wars spin-off that he originally pitched to Lucasfilm before Disney bought it, and he decided to turn it into a standalone thing. So, my guess is that
Snyder doesn't want to be involved.
He's already working on 2 Snyderverses, ones that he created. So, I don't know why he would want to work on a 3rd one, especially given the troubled production history that he had with DC, you know?
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a very fair point, because actually it was something I was watching, Glass Onion.
Oh, yeah.
And Ryan Johnson. Now, I have to be honest now, whether it was the studio heads that gave him a bad film to make, whatever, I don't think the Star Wars worked out for him. The Last Jedi, the way he took. Now, some of the decisions could have been from the executive, but the way he dealt with the fans, and the way he dealt with the media, a lot of people were annoyed about that. But yeah, I was kind of like, I wasn't pro Ryan Johnson. I don't want him involved in Star Wars. It didn't suit him. But I have to say, Knives Out and Glass Onion, I actually think it's actually very good.
They're great.
Good popcorn, little mysteries, feels like a thing. So it shows that a director might not work in a franchise, but on their own thing, it can work.
Yeah.
So like what you were saying about Snyder, that if he can put his energies into his own projects, he doesn't have to compromise to anything.
Plus, I think there can be a little controversy when a director decides to bring in their own style with the franchise that they're making. Hence the stuff with The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi does have elements of Johnson's style, especially the whip pans and the need to subvert conventions, which some of those I kind of admire.
You can subvert.
Yeah, I think The Last Jedi, I would say I do like that film, but I do think in terms of Johnson's filmography, I guess I would say I prefer his original stuff a lot more, because that's where he truly gets to shine. I think it's when he tries to work within
a franchise,
very
limited.
Yeah, it's a bit limiting, even though you do have a bit of style. But when he created his own franchise with the Benoit Blanc series, that's when he truly starts to shine, you know? I would say someone like Snyder and Johnson would be better off just doing their own original things.
Yeah. So, say we wrap up now, but my kind of opinion is if they knock out the films that they're meant to knock out, I think they should shelve The Flash, to be honest, but that's my opinion, because I just don't want to go see it, and it's a shame because they brought Michael Keaton back and they were walking towards the Batman Beyond, which I've been waiting for years. But where do you see it going now? Where do you think, like, there's films coming out? Do you think do you think they should do the clean slate?
I guess the only answer I could give is that only time will tell. There are signs that it could lead in a bit of a pessimistic direction, not in terms of tone, but in terms of how the fundamentals of the franchise are working. So whether or not if they just decide to can the whole thing and just start over again, or if they can probably improve on what they have right now, we'll see what happens in 5 or 10 years' time.
Yeah.
That's basically all I can say.
Yeah. So for you, Dean, you want them to bring back the Snyderverse. You don't want another universe. You want the Pattinson left alone, do you? And you want the Joker left alone and go back and do a Snyderverse. That's where you want to be.
I wouldn't say I want
it's not happening.
I wouldn't say I want the Snyderverse. I wouldn't mind the Snyderverse. Don't get me wrong. What was done was great. But so far the first steps that James Gunn has done is kind of turned me off wanting to go see any of his work. And that's getting rid of some of the stars that he wrongly got rid of.
Okay, that's fair enough. So we'll leave it at that. 4 Stories Dublin. We're on Facebook.
Follow,
Instagram, share. Subscribe.
If you have an opinion on anything you want us to do, or if there's anything, if you want to even a shout out, don't
just leave it in the comments below.
Thank you, Liam.
Best of luck.
You have a good day.